Welcome to video number 2. So we're into week 2, but because we're doing the condensed, this is still in week 1. If we are doing the condensed version, if not, if we're doing the full version, we are in week 2 by now. But here's a little picture that I have from when I was learning my backflips at Joyride. But I thought this was a cool, what I like about this picture, not the fact that I'm inverted and X'd up, which is kind of cool. But the brand is very recognizable here, and the same up here with Joyride. So it's really kind of cool to be at a place where brands really stand out. And as we go through the semester, I think you might become more aware of the brands that are in front of us on a day-to-day basis. So let's get right into it, and let's look at what we're going to be doing today. So today we will be covering the marketing mix. We'll talk about the 4 Ps. We will talk about who our target market is. What is a target market? What does that mean? We'll look at a consumer buying process. Why is that important? Does it really matter? And then last but not least, we'll look at loyalty programs and whether they're effective. And there's going to be an assignment at the end of class that ties into loyalty programs. All right, so let's get right into it. The next slide. I'm going to slide myself over here. So let's look at what is a marketing mix. What are some of the words that come to mind when you think of marketing mix? Let's think about that for a second. So some of you might think advertising is a common one that my students come up with, right? The G, advertising. Don't make fun of my writing. So advertising, the people, also known as our consumers. Anything else that comes to mind? Price is a common one. Some might even say marketing. What does that actually mean? So we're going to help clarify that a little bit. Some also might say promotion. Is there any others that might come to mind? If you do, it's okay, because we'll clearly look at that in the next definition of what a marketing mix is and break it down a little further. So let's do that now. So marketing mix is a combination. So if you had anything other than those words that I had mentioned earlier, you'd probably be right to some degree. That can be controlled by the company. So not external forces, only internal forces. So things that we can control in the company that can influence our consumers to purchase its products. Now this could also be products, which needs to be probably added on. Services, so like grass keeping, getting your hair cut, or ideas, so like Earth Day, anything like that that can influence you to purchase, or this could also be used buy into, right? Ideas that could actually change your behavior. Excuse my writing. Okay, to influence. So if we're not coming into Earth Day, that would be something that would come up maybe in school. And a good example is Pink Shirt Day. You might have that awareness. So that is another example of an idea. So all of these words that we mentioned earlier, the combination of all these factors is key. So anything that we do, so whether it be from radio, if it be social media, if it be from doing some promotions outside, giving away stuff, whatever that means, it's all that together combined is our marketing mix. Does that make sense? So everything that ties into promoting or influencing our consumers is our marketing mix. And for each brand or each company or each product, service, or idea, it's going to be completely different. There's not a single formula. It all has to be created individually and catered to your target market. So let's look and delve into this a little bit deeper, because when you're looking at marketing mix, and we mentioned a few words, this kind of ties into the 4 Ps, right? Because that's important and we've already talked about what the 4 Ps are already. We may not have already known it, but we're going to do that right now. So let's look at what the 4 Ps are. So any suggestions or thoughts, what you think the 4 Ps are? Some of you might have taken business before and you might know some of this. If not, you're about to learn and it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life, because it's something that is brought up many, many times in many, many, many courses, marketing and many business courses. So the first one that everyone tends to remember is price. Price is the first one. The next one is promotion. Right? Product. These are the three that everyone tends to remember. Can you remember what the last one is for those that have taken marketing before? If you said place, you'd be bang on. Okay, so those are the 4 Ps, and like I mentioned earlier, some books and some websites start breaking it down further, and they get into 5 Ps, 7 Ps. I mean, it depends how far you really want to break it down. But for the basis of it all, using the 4 Ps really checks all the boxes, and there's usually no need to go much further unless there's a need for it. So let's look that into a little more detail. What exactly falls under the 4 Ps? What are we talking about? When we're talking about product, and they're in no particular order, when we're talking a product, okay, we're looking at everything. We're looking at the features. So if it was a bicycle, for example, what type of tires does it have? What types of gears does it have? All these features that tie into the benefit, right? That's important, because if we're marketing it to the brand, that would be something, that would be something that would be important to our consumers. The brand name actually falls under the product, which a lot of people don't think about, right? And that's why it's so key, and that's why we're tying into the branding. Brand name is crucial. If you think about when you purchase products, you tend to think about, brand names. Other key brand names, for example, that have become synonymous with the actual type of product. Can you think of any that kind of fall into that category? So the Kleenex, you would be right. That's a common one, right? Which is tissue, right? For anyone that does inline skating, Rollerblades is another brand that is synonymous with it, but that's actually a brand, right? When it's just inline skating. And there's a few others, and I'll let you think about that, and might fall into the category. But that is key. That's why we're tying this in with branding today. The packaging, how it's packaged, is key. Those tie into the 4 Ps. Okay, and then the behind the scenes, the service and the warranty that product may have. All those relate to the product. It's not just the physical product that's in your hand. There's all these that kind of tie into. All right. So let's look at the next one. Let's look at price. So when we think about price, we usually think about the retail price, right? Like if something's $4.99, $5.99, but it's much more than that, right? We can look at the list price. So the list price is how much it costs the retailers. How much does it cost us to make, so that we can make more profit? Maybe we can lower the cost so that we can make more money. Discounts, volume discounts. If we order more for a certain product, does it cut the discounts down? Allowance, so terms when we want to buy certain products, when we're importing supplies to build our product, all ties back to the actual price. Okay. Payment terms, so that would kind of fall under, say, cars. Is there financing available? All that kind of stuff. All that can relate back to price. Promotion. Promotion is the most common one that everyone talks about, and it's pretty straightforward. But we'll watch a video later on that really looks at where we're going these days with regards to social media, and technology has really put this and flipped it over. So the typical advertising promotions that everyone normally thinks of. So normally you think of TV, right? The typical radio, right? Newspaper or print, right? Billboards. And don't get me wrong, they still exist, but they're definitely, all of these are on their way out. We don't know what's happening with them in the future, but we do know that there's been a huge decline with that because of how we view our media these days. All right. Personal selling also falls into that category. So, how are we going to get our product out there, like face to face, cold calling, that type of thing? Sales promotion. So maybe we hire people to promote our product. Um, Publicity. Um, again, how can we support maybe events to help get our brand out there, right? So there's many different ways, but we'll look later on some videos on how some companies are really stepping out and really get you thinking differently, and how to look at social media possibly, and thinking outside the box, right? Because you need to be able to stand out. So that's key. Last but not least, when place, we look at many different aspects with place. So outlets, so where it actually is, where can we purchase this product? Okay. Channels, what does that mean? How do we get the product to our consumer? Does it go online? Is it brick and mortar stores? How does it get there? Coverage, what areas? Is it only just Canada? Is it all in North America? Where is it? Is it just locally within our city? Transportation, this is key right now, especially during the times of COVID. How do we get it? Are we going to use Perlate or UPS? Are we going to mail it using Canada Post? What's that look like? But not only that, but how do we get our product logistically to us, so that maybe we need packaging? So there's lots involved in that, and it all ties into our marketing plan. And last but not least, stock level. How many do we keep in stock? Do we carry 100? Do we carry 500? What does that stock level look like so we can meet our consumers' needs? And that's a big one, because that's a big guess, especially if you're starting up a company. You don't want to be short product, but if it doesn't do too well, you don't want to be overstocked in product as well. So it's really important. These are just the top 5 or 6 little categories that fall under the 4 Ps, and you can break them down even further, like I mentioned earlier. But it all ties in, so they're all going in the same direction, so they're cohesive, and they all tie back to our brand. So what is our brand, right? And you'll see later on when we start talking about branding, by definition, what that actually looks like. All right, so let's continue on. Let's look about target market. What is our target market? So some of the common words would be our customers, right? And if you said that, you'd be correct. Any others? Probably not. I mean, you might have stuck with that. You might have something else. But really what it comes down to is we're looking at different avenues with regards to our target market. More detail maybe is a better way to say it. So we need to look at specifics. But when we just say customers, we need to sell more to our customers. We need to know specifically what that means. So some key words that come up, we need to look at our age, or not our age, but our consumer's age, gender, age again, sorry, it wipes away. Age, income, how much they make, live, where do they live? Also known as geographics. Right? Where do our consumers live? How can we get it to them? With their lifestyle. Right? It's an active lifestyle. And these are just a few, but let's look at it in more detail. What kind of falls under that category? So when we're looking at our target market, there's many avenues, obviously, that we just talked about. We're looking at social graphics. So How do they socialize? How target our consumers? How do they um, interact with other consumers? Behavior. What does their day look like? What do they do on a daily basis? Psychographic. What are their beliefs? Okay. Geographic. We touched on that. Where do they live? And then last but not least, demographics. Okay. And that's when we're talking about age. And this is the key one that really most people need to focus on right now. And we get into more gender, income, education, and there's a few others, but I want you guys to just understand, difficult to see that, that there's many aspects to our target market, not just demographics. We forget all these other ones that can tie in, because at the end of the day, we're really trying to dig deep and find out what our target market is, so that we can approach our product to them specifically. All right. Let's move on to buying decisions. So how do we make decisions to buy? Okay. So let's look at that. Oops. So let's look at that. So what is the buying process for a broken cell phone? I want you to think about what's the very first thing. If you broke your cell phone, what's the very first thing you're going to do? So some of you may say research. Right? You're going to look at what else is available. Right? You may look at repairing your phone. Right? You may look at different options, maybe a different phone altogether. Right? You may look under, is it covered under warranty? Do you have a warranty program? Right? All these kind of play into the role. And it's important to understand that this falls back to the product and why it ties back into the brand. So let's look at the consumer's buying process and how they make a decision to buy. We're going to just use a cell phone just as an example, but let's look at a step-by-step. So here we go. So problem recognition. Okay. So our problem recognition, we realize we got a broken phone, right? Or something that we need to fulfill our needs, right? The next step is we're going to do some information search. We're going to see what options are out there. What are our options? Right? Can we get it fixed? Just break down what are all the options. Third, we're going to evaluate our alternatives. So what are our options? And evaluate them. So we're going to rank them. What, really, if option one is to buy a new phone, that might cost us $600 or $700. Is that what we want to do? Option two is get it fixed. Maybe it's only $50. That might be an option, right? And we're going to break it down, and we're going to actually weigh on. When we tie back to the information search, we're going to evaluate, talk to our family members, talk to our friends, and find out what works best for them. What do they think, right? And then we're going to evaluate. We're going to balance it out. Which one should we go with? Then, once we've made the decision, we're going to purchase the product. We're going to purchase the new phone, right? We're going to purchase the phone. And everyone's happy. Then a year later, we'll probably come to some degree. We're going to talk about our post-purchase behavior, right? Did we make the right choice? Right? And it's important to keep that in mind, because when we go back we look at how the 4 Ps, it kind of falls back, and we talked about warranty, right? At the product, how well that works for our product, and it ties back to our brand. I'm sure some of you have had purchased product and you thought it was really great just because of the brand, and it didn't work out too well for you. You got rid of it. You would never buy that brand again. That happens a lot in clothing, especially in footwear, right? Some of you might be big Nike fans, some of you may be Asics fans, and usually it's from your past purchase decisions that you've made, or someone's given to you, but you still have some post-purchase behavior where you think about the product, right? And it would tie back, then you recommend to your friends, oh, I would never buy Reebok again. But it's interesting, you don't necessarily sometimes say Reebok shoes, but you would just say Reebok, because if you think their shoes are not very good, you think maybe their jackets aren't very good. So it all ties in, and that's why it's really important as a business that we understand how consumers make their decision, so we can influence it using our marketing mix properly. We can address those issues as they arise. Okay, let's move on. Loyalty programs. What is a loyalty program? What do you think a loyalty program is? Well, if you said having consumers return to your business, right, to purchase either product, service, right? You'd be right. And they do that many different ways, right? So what are some of the ways that companies create loyalty, have you come back, right? Some of you might, just like we talked about Reebok, it could be the other way. We love Reebok shoes. We want to keep coming back. Or Tim Hortons for you coffee drinkers. How does Tim Hortons keep have you coming back? How does McDonald's keep having you coming back? Right? There's some little tricks. So let's look at some ones that might come into play. So let's look at McD's. What are some things that McD's have had over the past to keep you coming back? Well, they have promotions or limited promotions, right? Shamrock Shakes. And it's a kind of a, right? They dangle it for a little while, and then they make it disappear, and they bring it back. But it gives you loyal to coming back. It's their own little thing. The common one that most companies have, they'll have a card. Right? I think they still have the coffee card, a punch card. Right? They have the Monopoly. Right? They get you into playing the game. Right? I was going to say roll up to rim, but that's not that's Tim Hortons. But they McD's have many other ones that they use to keep coming. But these are the biggies that they continue to use. Let's look at Tim Hortons. So Tim Hortons, they create loyalty programs, right? So they have the biggest one is their roll up to win. Okay. They have an app now. Right? So ease of use to keep you going. That's really what it is, right? They want a speedy process. Also, some things that loyalty programs, and from a standpoint, is it's protecting their brand, right? If you think the brand is good through their promotions, and they do things, not so much the obvious, so, such celebrity uses or drinks Tim Hortons, but their business stands for something. And Tim Hortons did that a few years back, where they looked at pollution and they looked at their coffee cups. So they did a huge push to put more garbage cans so that they're more environmental awareness. So there's a positive spin on it, right? And if you think at McDonald's, if you guys ever watched the movie Super Size Me, that was a huge hit to the McDonald's brand. So they had to counteract that. But anyways, these are some loyalty programs that Tim Hortons and McDonald's use, and I'm sure you guys can think of others. Some people, and we'll discuss it next week or in the next video from the assignment that I'm going to have you do. Let's look at that now. So today's homework, you're going to review the week 1 checklist again. Make sure you've watched any videos in that you may need to, and you're going to complete video assignment number 2 on loyalty programs. Keep in mind, you do not have to do a video if you do not like to. You want to keep it simple. You can just submit a simple Word or Google Doc. All right. So hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.